Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series, where we show you how to turn your expertise into a book that actually drives results. I'm Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO of Smart Publishing.
And I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor of Smart Publishing. This is the podcast for business owners, coaches, and professionals who don't just want to be authors. They want to use a book to build authority, attract clients, and create real opportunities.
Each week, we break down what actually works when it comes to writing, publishing, and leveraging a book the right way. Sometimes it's just us pulling back the curtain on our process. Other times we're joined by authors, industry experts, sharing how they've used a book to grow their business. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or you already have one and want it to do more for you, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I am one of your co-hosts, Renée Lautermilch, and Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and I am joined today by two others, one of which is my co-host, Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO at Smart Publishing. You want to say hi to the folks, Jonathan?
Howdy, it's good to be back. I've had to miss the last few, so we got the whole gang together today.
We sure did, and I'm going to be introducing you guys to our other guest here shortly, but before I want to just talk about him and his forthcoming book a little bit. So his name is Jason T. Powell, and he joins us on episode 68, and he has spent the better part of his adult life collecting his book material the hard way, which I kind of love, because as his editor also I get to read all the fun stories he has to share, and they are just great. I'll get to that in a minute. He has a very eclectic background. He's a former competitive gymnastic coach, Golden Gloves boxer, kickboxer, wrestler, bass fisherman, golfer, which somehow didn't make its way into the bio I'm reading from here, probably because he's done so many different things. Screenwriter at one point, comedian, stand-up comedian, which comes into play big time in this book. But he has channeled his over 30 years of hard-won experience into the two careers that made the most sense of all of his background, which is stand-up comedy and leadership development. So over a decade, he's performed as a stand-up comic, keynote speaker, earning a reputation for the kind of storytelling that makes audiences laugh before they realize they've also learned something. Lends itself really well to the book world. He's actually done a TEDx talk called Unmasking the Clown, Harnessing Humor to Heal. And that brings the connection between comedy and human resilience to a wider audience, laying the groundwork for his book, which, again, I'll get to in just a second. I know you're sitting on the edge of your seats. He's also the author of Compete to Live, his first book, The Everyman's Playbook to Beating Depression, which is a candid account of his own journey through mental health challenges that establish his voice as someone who tells the truth, even when it's inconvenient, but especially when it's funny. So that being said, let's transition to his new forthcoming book, Laps to Leadership. It will be dropping later this month, I believe, on the 21st. Jonathan, keep me honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, on July 21st. So what if the most valuable leadership lessons weren't learned in a boardroom, but under the bright lights of a comedy club where every mistake is public? Every audience is unpredictable, and trust has to be earned in real time. In Laps to Leadership, Jason shares the surprising leadership lessons that he learned from the world's toughest proving grounds, stand-up comedy, which can be brutal, through really funny stories, like really, really funny stories. There's a pee pants story in there. I'll go ahead and hint that out. Practical tools and hard-earned wisdom. You'll learn how to read a room, build trust, handle criticism, communicate with confidence, and lead with authenticity. So whether you are someone who leads a business, a team, a classroom, or a family, this book, it's not just going to make you laugh, and it will make you laugh. It'll make you cry. Like, Jason's storytelling can do all the things very, very quickly. It's going to help you connect more effectively with the people around you and navigate challenges with greater confidence. So I will leave it there because I've done a huge intro for Jason, and I will let him introduce himself to you guys now, the listeners. Jason, over to you.
I wanted to meet the guy you're talking about. That guy sounded awesome. No, it's funny. When I went to write this book, I thought it was going to be so much easier than the first book. because the first book I bled onto those pages. It was difficult. And this book was just as hard. I bled just as much. So I put everything in there from waiting tables to coaching elite level gymnastics to performing at the University of Houston, now through my TEDx talk. But the crazy thing is I just got another invitation to do another TEDx and I turned it down. So I'm at the stage where I can turn it down. So I'm like, I'm too busy to do another TEDx because it is exhausting. And I was writing the book at the same time as doing my TEDx. So that was difficult. But yeah, wow, that guy sounds awesome. I want to meet him. He sounds way more interesting than me. I am a dad too. I think that's my greatest thing I've ever done is be a dad. We just got back from the driving range. I have a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old, and keeping them from killing each other has been the hardest job of my life. So keeping them separated and trying to get them to like each other is one of the most difficult things ever. So that's it. And 4 dogs and a cat. So it's a full house. It's a full
Amen,
house.
dude.
We got a taste of 2 children around the same age under one roof this past week.
It's brutal.
Not doing that again anytime soon.
Dude.
It's brutal.
God bless you, man. Godspeed.
17 months apart.
Well, Renee had to tag me in. Like, she was like tapping out like, Jonathan, I need you to stop what you're doing and come help me. Like, it was that serious. And it was funny when we asked them, like, did you have fun? Both of them were like, we had a great time. And I'm just like, what dimension were you in? Because y'all just fought the whole time. Yeah, you just screamed and fought the whole time. Like, that was awesome. Let's do it again. I was like, no.
I think there became a point in my parenthood where I was pretty bad at it. And I had another coach sit me down and be like, dude, they're not your friends. You need to be treating them like your athletes and you'll do better. And so I used my leadership, all the years of coaching, and I started using it more effectively. I was a little too sarcastic with my kids. I was a little bit too hard on my son. He's an athlete. And I was lucky enough to have a friend sit me aside and say, you have the skills. Mm-hmm. I just thought I turn those off when I get home. And what I found is I don't. Those leadership skills follow you home and you have to use them. And if you use them, I'm proud of what my kids are becoming. I have a little bit to do with it, and a lot of those leadership skills have a lot to do with it. So I thought I got to turn it off when I got home, and you don't.
No.
You don't.
Yeah. Well, how you do one thing's how you do everything, you know?
Yeah.
So, no, that's great, man. So let's do this. I've got a lot of hard-hitting questions. I'm going to put on my Walter Cronkite over here. I'm kidding, of course, but I do want to dive into a little bit more of the nooks and crannies of your experience of just going through this, man. And once again, I like doing these because I don't even get that deep with you when you go through this process, man. So I get to kind of learn for the first time too, like some of these different perspectives. That's why we have this show, so we can pull that out there and really share with not only our audience, but your audience as well. Really the heart behind everything, because that's really what makes a best helper at the end of the day, is not just the book, but the intention behind it and really the author that's putting everything together. So the first question I got for you, brother, is what was happening in your life when you realized that you had to write this book? Obviously, you wrote the first one, but what was going on? It's like, okay, here's my next book, Laughs to Leadership.
I've been speaking more, and I've been talking to people, and what I find is what made me most effective as a leader was these tools I learned from comedy. And I was like, I don't think this is a normal thing that people look at. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on paper. And then it started developing in my head. And like I said, when I first started thinking about doing it, I thought it was going to be easy. Like, here's the tool. This is how you do it. bam, done. Let's move on to the next chapter. And it didn't turn out that way.
Well, that kind of leads in my second one then, was there anything that came up in the process that almost stopped you from writing it?
From the very first chapter, when going over that pricked my skin again and I felt and I bled. I think that's the part when you really care about something, and I just can't censor myself. And so I tell every part of the story, even if it doesn't make me look good. And that part's hard. It's hard. And the emotional dump at the end is difficult. And I didn't think the emotional dump would be the same on this book. And it was pretty much the same. Like, it's just, ugh, it's just done and it's out. And I would say I might even be a little bit more proud of the second book, because here's a leadership book that's like, here's how you get to point A to point B. But at the same time, I was like, while you're going there, let me tell you how this affected me. And like I said, it bled on those pages. And so that was harder than I thought.
No, for sure. And especially, I can imagine from doing stand-up comedy, one of the hardest things to do in the world and actually be good at it. It makes me think of one of our favorite comedians. You know, I talk about Shane Gillis, right? So, like, I love hearing the stories from him of he's like, yeah, I bombed that one, and here's exactly what happened. And just once again, you can tell he's so seasoned with it because he's gone through this process for so long. Like, he doesn't internalize it. But to go into a book format where you have to literally go back to that exact moment in time and almost relive it, right? As well as tell it. Man, that's something that every single author that, you know, we've worked with has gone through to some degree. And one of the reasons we love working with you so much, Jason, is not only are you willing to go back into those places, you're willing to make sure that you tell all the nitty gritty details in that part, because you realize it's not about you. It's about the reader being able to extract those lessons from even the tough times and the setbacks and the mistakes in life you went through.
Yeah, I definitely am. Well, and I don't embarrass. So I don't look back and be like, yeah, I peed my pants. I mean, I'm happy to say I'm 54 now. I haven't peed my pants since I was like 49. So that's a big deal, you know. But it's, you know, that's the part of it. When I write, I envision people reading it. So I envision people like, I want people to say me too. I don't want them to think that I come from any other place other than to be authentic and genuine. And this is how it happened. And I wish I could tell you that I came out looking like a hero, but I didn't. But it made me grow. I mean, talk about bombing and Shane Gillis. The worst bomb I ever had on stage. It was brutal enough that the headliner put his arm around me and said, it's never going to get worse than that. So now you know what's going to happen. And it happened, and it made me a so much better comic and leader and everything else. But it made me I would say, I don't think I had a bad show after that. So, because I wasn't worried about it anymore. I wasn't worried about what's the worst thing that's going to happen. That's it right there. So that's as bad as it's going to be. And that was actually Jerry Rocha. He actually just passed away. He was a big comic in LA, but he was based out of Dallas, and he was one of the guys that made it. He actually just passed away. So God bless Jerry Rocha, because he was good enough to put his arm around me, tell me the truth, and be like, but I know you can do better. And then I killed the show after that, and he's like, see, I knew you could do better.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this. You're in an interesting spot. So less than 1% of people, as you know, write a book within their lifetime. You're about to have 2 books, right? So obviously, like, that's a really big deal. So let me ask you this, like, what made you want to work with a publisher? for the second one? Because you already did the first one. You had the experience going through it. What was it? It was like, hey, I want to work with a publisher again on the second one.
Again, being truthful, Renee's kind of my security blanket. She gives it to me straight. When, you know, she's like, hey, this chapter needs this chapter needs that. Because as you guys know, I'm a writer at heart, and like I said, you know, or like Renee said, I've done screenplays. I did a sitcom that unfortunately never got picked up, but I've been writing my whole life, but it's just when Renee's there, I send her the chapters. She lets me know exactly what happened in that, you know, like, hey, this works, this doesn't work. It's just easy. It's so much nicer to have someone to bounce that off of. I mean, to be honest with you, if I wanted a crappy book, I would just throw it all into an AI and let that spit it out. But you still have to have that humanity there. And I write in a very authentic, genuine, human way that, you know, and as she knows, punctuation is not my strong suit, and there's grammar in a lot of ways. So it's good to have Renee there to, you know, back me up, and I trust her. So, you know, that's why.
No, I think that's a great point, and it made me think of like even just how I run the team here at Smart Publishing. Like, I've had tons of ideas. Have they all been great? No. So having people around you that are willing to speak up, and once again, come from a place of truth and love, kind of like what you shared about your mentor when you had that bombing moment. Like, hey, like, it's not going to get any worse than this, but you can do better. Man, look at what that allowed to do for you because you had someone in your corner doing that. I know I appreciate that with people I have in my life because I don't want to run the team off the edge of a cliff because I think this idea is brilliant, but there's actually a bunch of holes in it. So having those people around you that you can trust to bounce those things off, that you know they're going to give you honest and clear feedback for your best interest is super valuable. So I appreciate you sharing that. My next question for you, brother, is this book can help a lot of people. Like, leadership is leadership, right? Whether you're a parent, business owner, an employee, or even if you're just leading yourself, right? At the end of the day, like, leadership is leadership. But if you had to really dial in, like, who is this book really designed for and really the best helper for, who would you say that is?
You know, I started it out and I envisioned high level CEOs reading the book, right? Like, I think everybody has a big goal in mind. And as I'm reading it, or as I'm writing it, I'm like, I started envisioning somebody else, somebody every day, just like my first book, every dude's playbook to beating depression. This is kind of like every dude's playbook for leadership, because leadership happens at so many different levels. And I was even thinking about this morning because I was thinking about my, you know, the book release and having a party and all this stuff. And I realized how many people will be there that are actually either authors or leaders. And I think this was kind of my thank you to everybody that let me lead them, because, you know, at the end of the day, they have to give you consent, right? There's plenty of times you walk in a room and you're like, there is no consent in here for me to lead these people. These people are waiting. These people are waiting for the next dude. Like, you can tell. And so it changed. It definitely, like when I first started writing it and I did my outline and I sent it to you guys, and I was like, CEOs are going to love this book. And then I wrote it and I'm like, they might like it, but this is for the dudes in the trenches that are trying to move in a different direction. Really, what it seems to be pushing towards is just getting people unstuck. That's what it does. There's so many people stuck where they're at, right? And they're like, how can I get out of this? And the funny thing is, if you put the two books together, you can actually do a lot, I think. I think get unstuck and move forward and get to that point you want to be. After this weekend, I was sitting at the Rough Riders on July 4th watching a baseball game, and they're doing the largest fireworks show that they've ever done, 18 minutes long. And they did the flyover with the jets. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm sitting there with my family, and I'm sitting there with some family friends who have kids the same age. And I'm like, it's funny. I remember thinking I wasn't going to make it and wondering if I'd ever know when I made it. And I'm like, this is it. It's not on a yacht in the Mediterranean. It's not my version of making it is right now. These food trucks, they had a car show. You know how I am about cars. They had this car show. My kids did pull-ups at the Marine Corps stand. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, as my kids are screaming at each other, and I'm like, this is it. This is my Graceland. I've actually made it. If I ever make another penny, this is it right now. I got to remember that.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. I had a moment like that too as I was lighting fireworks in our neighborhood park, and I looked at our nanny, Stephanie, Aria, and Renee over there, and as I was running for my life as soon as I lit the fuse so I wouldn't blow my fingers off.
Yeah.
It really is those moments, man, that make this journey worth it at the end of the day.
And Becky had a little extra time off, and she's going to get some time off here at the end of the month too. And with all the stress I'm under, because all the stuff I'm going down with right now, besides the book, and and doing the TEDx earlier in the year, I've been so busy and just sitting there on the 4th. And I remember, I think I talked to you on Friday, and I'm like, dude, I'm taking Saturday and Sunday, and I'm just family. This is what I'm doing. This is it.
Yeah.
Even though I got all this stuff will still be here on Monday.
Yep.
So,
We did the same thing, man. So for the everyday person, there's obviously a lot they can pull from this. It's lessons, not lesson. If you had to pick one thing, though, if they only get one thing from that book, what would you want that one thing to be?
Oh, that is so... That's a hard question. And I think it comes from the first, I think it's the first chapter. Renee would know better than me. I just send them over. Dude, that pee your pants story, man. It's when I'm in first grade, and I remember that moment and just standing on stage trying to sing The Gambler, and I worshiped Kenny Rogers, and everything fell apart, and I peed my pants in front of the whole gym and ran. So now the janitor has to clean up about 100 yards of pee because I didn't just stay there and pee. Here's a lesson. If you're peeing your pants, let it puddle so they have less to clean up, or that janitor will make evil eyes at you for the rest of your grade school career. Like, oh, there's the pee runner. You don't want to be the pee runner. Don't be the pee runner. And just how everything improved. What's funny is you would think, here's a kid trying to sing The Gambler on stage, peeing his pants. That kid's never going to get on a stage again. And not only did I get on a stage again, I never had stage fright. Ever. Like, since that first moment. And I mean, I was shaking. You should have seen me. I was... a lot of people are like, oh, I was on stage because you tell I was shaking. I'm like, no, you couldn't tell. You could tell. I mean, I was shaking. I'm sure somebody in the audience was like, get a wallet. He's having a seizure, because I was shaking so bad. And then they were like, oh, he must be having a seizure. He's peeing his pants. Nope, he's running. He must not be. He's running now. I think a lot of people would have looked at that situation, especially at such a developmental time of your life, and been like, that dude's never getting on a stage again. Now, I don't sing, but to go on from there and to jump on stages with minutes of notice. You know how many times people have been like, hey, so-and-so didn't show up. We need someone to go up right now. I'm like, okay. and I take that microphone and I walk on stage. No warm up and do well. I think I want people to find that and to know that no moment, no matter how terrible it is, because that was a terrible moment. There was a lot of time of me spent in my mom's shoulder crying my eyes out after that. Not to mention the fact, JCPenney plain pocket jeans, you know what those feel like when they're wet with pee? Oh, it's a terrible feeling. Terrible feeling. It's like you got cement. It's like you're trying to run with cement because they just waterlog and they're so rough. Oh, it's terrible. It's a terrible moment. But just that you can recover from any moment, just like the bombing stories. And that's really what the book's about. It's about learning situations and how to navigate those situations so that you recover from it. And because everybody's had a bad leadership moment, everybody. And just that you move on from them. And I consider myself a pretty darn good leader. And I've had athletes prove that I'm a good leader. And I've had sales teams prove that I'm a decent leader. And it's because they bought into my systems. And that's kind of what this book does. It teaches people to buy into what you're selling them as a leader.
Way to bring that home. I wasn't sure how you were going to bring that back from, running 100 yards peeing, but you brought it back to a good point. And shout out JCPenney's as well. Nice little.
I hate plain pockets. Not shout out JCPenney's. If your parents both work for JCPenney's, you're going to have to wear those things all through high school while everybody else gets to wear Levi's and Guess. You're wearing them.
We'll have an affiliate code down below for 10% off. We'll call them the JC peeing pants.
The pee pants with the reinforced knees that never, ever, ever rip. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Ripped jeans were the thing. Guess what? Plain pocket jeans will never rip. Ever.
Okay.
They're bulletproof, actually. Don't test that out, but they're bulletproof.
God bless it. All right, we got to dial back in. We're getting out of hand right here. So, dude, I think that's a great thing to be able to take away from the confidence perspective. So, with that being said, if we could have, once again, God knows how many people take that lesson away and apply it to their life. What's the big vision you have for this book as being a best helper for people in those regards? Like, what's the vision that you have?
It'll get them confidence. It'll help them read a room. It will help them walk into a room and know how to take control of that room. And that's really what comics do. The microphone gives us a slight advantage, but you can watch millions of hours of YouTube of comics just controlling rooms and making them go in any direction they want. Even when people don't necessarily believe in what that comic's selling, they can manipulate. And I hate to use the word manipulate because it seems like a bad word, but to manipulate people to see your vision. And that's what comedy does, right? You're painting a picture for somebody. You're an artist and you're painting this picture. And that's what these tools do, is they help you paint that picture for your team, for the people you're leading, and so that they can jump on board and they can jump on the wagon and be like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's get on this ride.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. One of the things I learned back in, my fitness industry days, and dude, I was terrible at sales. Like, I have a whole backstory with that. And one of the things I found was, as I was getting my chops to say of how to master that craft, was I've realized if I could make someone smile or make someone laugh, that means I could sell them something. Right?
Yeah, it's a trust. It's trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if I can make you laugh, right, then, okay, I've got my in for persuasion, whatever that is. So I think that's a great point that literally everyone can benefit from at the end of the day, right? So I think that's excellent. So let me ask you this. So you've gone through the book. We talked about some of the challenges that you had with it. Was there anything that, now that the book is done and you went through this process, is there anything personally or professionally that this may have unlocked for you in terms of like a skill set or a belief or a mindset that you've been able to take away and just personally benefit from just finishing the process and getting your work out there in the form of another book?
I think any time you finish any kind of project like this, that there's a feeling of accomplishment even before it goes bestseller on the 21st. It's a feeling, there's that feeling of, for me, it's getting it out is it, because as you guys know, I write everything in my head before I ever even do my outline. And then I do my outline, and in my head, I pretty much have it finished. And then I just throw hands to keys, and it just bleh, out onto the screen. And then once it's out, it's just that feeling of accomplishment when you write that last sentence. And I think in this one, it really felt finished for me when I wrote Who It's For. When I wrote what am I trying to say? Not intro, the dedication. When I wrote the dedication and Who It's For. When I wrote that dedication, I'm gonna tell you right now, I cried. So, and that's when it felt finished for me, and that's when it was done. And I was like, okay. And then we talked, 3 or 4 days later, and I said, hey, the third book I think is going to be called. So we probably haven't told Renee yet, but I think I'm going to call the third book Mic Drop Life. So
I know. I remember. I was like, "Let's finish this one first."
Should we release this one before you write the next one?
Right. Yeah. I'm like,
it's done, by the way, Renee. I sent it's 23 chapters. I sent them over. I emailed them while you guys were introducing me. So it's done.
Always be writing, man. It's funny.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Well, Renee, you say this all the time. It's like the gateway drug. You do your first book, and then now that you see the structure and the process, and obviously like the benefits,
and how doable it is.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden now you've got
how easy it is too, and that you can do it. I think a lot of people sit back and they're like, I can't do that, and they come up with all the different reasons of why they can't do it. And it's like, first off, it's not as hard as you think it is. And then halfway through, it's going to feel like it's as hard as you think it is, but you'll get through it. And it's kind of like your tattoos, right? You just keep going back. You're like, okay, this is the last one. And then you're like, I think I'll do a lion. It's like, it just keeps happening. And I think books are the same way. And they just start building in my head. But for the people that don't think they can do it, it's not true. It's not true, especially when you got the help of smart publishing. It's so much. And when I have, as you know, if I got a deadline, you got to do it by this certain time. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Here it goes. I'll get it done. Because I was afraid. My first book, I was afraid that I would get about a quarter of the way in and it would stop. Everything would just stop. And that didn't happen at all. It built and it built and it built and it built. And one story led to another story, led to another lesson, led to another story. I had a friend that said that my book got him through chemo. So I'm like, that was worth writing. I remember that story.
Yeah, man. It's once you have those experiences, now you're kind of like, damn, I have to do this now. You know what I mean? Because before you see that's going to impact anyone, it's like, oh, you get on your head. And like you said, you have all the different stories that come up. But once you have that one experience where someone's like, hey, this really helped me, you're like, damn it, I got to write another one or keep going with this one.
And this book's way different than the first book, because the first book was specifically designed for people dealing with depression. This book is designed, I hope it helps a lot of closet introverts, because I really am. I rather sit at home by myself, not talk to anybody, maybe hang with my kids, but mostly with my dogs. And I could go weeks in a cabin and not talk to anybody. comedy and people forcing me out of my shell and doing those things made me what I am today. And hiding from it wouldn't have done any good. So I hope it
Amen.
helps. I hope it helps those people too. I hope it helps people that are like, I hate social situations. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with people, because I think there's a lot of value in there for that too, to help people navigate through that.
Absolutely. So let's land the plane. When's the book come out? How can people get all the details and information of it coming out? And yeah.
I have no idea. I have a book coming out. Yeah, July 21st, right? You can get the virtual copy. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. You guys know better than I do. I just know Jonathan's like, hey, it comes out tomorrow, and I'm like, okay, I'll tell my people. I don't know why my camera's doing that. I'll tell my people I move too much. The camera's moving too much. There we go. That never get one of those cameras that follow you, because my hands move way too much. But yeah, it comes out the 21st, and then that Friday, I'm having a book release party for a poker party, which will benefit Compete to Live. And then we're doing a summit on that Saturday to kind of really release it, which is called the Unserious Summit, which, why wouldn't it be? And we got some great comics and stuff coming to that. So it's going to be a huge week. And then I have my yearly checkup on that Monday. So I'm like, on the 29th, I will be ready to relax.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, we'll make sure we put your website where people can sign up, where they can get a copy for the 1 day price only of 99 cents on that Tuesday. And then physical copies will be available Wednesday. And then also, Jason, if you give us your links to the Unserious Summit, we'll drop that in there too, because those are kind of all rolling into 1 week.
Yeah, what a week, huh?
Yeah.
What a week. It's getting crazy. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. Me and Renee couldn't be prouder of you, man. And once again, like it's a really big deal to write one book. It's a massive deal to write multiple books. So I'm excited for your second book. Obviously, it sounds like you got a third one that you'll be cooking up here at some point too. And then once again, man, thank you for taking the time to come on the show and honor us with some of your gold nuggets, man. Once again, I always learn something every time I get to spend time with you, man. So once again, we're both very proud of you. And for those of y'all tuning in, make sure you go to the website links that will drop down in the comments section so you guys can get a copy of Jason's book, because it truly is going to be a best helper for you.